Hello, it's Annabelle Beckwith here, just doing my bit for the 7 Stories, 7 Lessons thread that has been going about. And today's story is about switch it off, switch it on again. And I'm not talking about a computer. A few years ago, I was called by a client, and it wasn't the contact that I usually worked with in this organisation. It was a colleague of hers. Who had a bit of an emergency. They had a conference, a large meeting going on, and I think somebody had let them down, and they needed somebody to come up with a short training module for some regional managers to come up with that, and then to deliver it in a train the trainer type session during this conference in 10 days' time. Now, when this kind of thing comes in, part of me is thinking, what? No, there's too many things in the diary. And part of me is thinking, yes, I really want to be the caped crusader who leaps into action to save the day here. So, of course, I said yes. At which point I started to become quite stressed because there was quite a lot to accomplish in that 10 days. And I did spend a couple of days like literally staring at my laptop screen, trying to force myself to come up with ideas and actually not being very productive, coming up with ideas that were old hat. They were just rubbish. What can I tell you? There was no inspiration at all. Now, at the same time, I was training for a half marathon, which obviously requires you to go out running reasonably often. And I thought to myself, well, I've got to work on this project. I've got to work on the project. I can't go out I haven't got the time to go for a run. And eventually I thought, I am just not achieving anything by just trying to tap relentlessly away because, there's just no inspiration here at all. Let me just go for a run. So I went out for a 10-mile run. And whilst I was out on that run, I literally wrote the entire workshop while I was out on that 10-mile run. As I was sort of kind of like bobbing along there, and it's a beautiful run around these parts, along by the beach, through the woods, round by the golf course, ideas just kept coming to my mind. Now, the slight challenge there was I'm thinking, oh no, I haven't got a pen and paper to write these things down. And actually, as a slight aside, bit of a memory trick there. Whenever something came into my mind, I focused on something. Right, okay, there's the 18th hole at Royal Troon Golf Course. Right, I'm focusing on the 18th. And that's the idea. I'm anchoring to that particular point. Okay, and then I'd run on, and then there's the a road sign, or there's, something else. And I would think, right, okay. And so when I got back to the house, I was literally thinking, right, I ran along, right, there was the 18th. Oh yes, that was, and I was able to capture those ideas. Quite a useful memory trick as an aside. But here was the thing for me. I could have told myself that I didn't have the time, and I could have forced myself to sit at my laptop, trotting out second-rate, mediocre rubbish, and presented something at the end of the day that might have squeaked by, but it really would not have been my best work. Actually, the most useful thing to do at that point was to switch it off and switch it on again, and that means my own brain, basically. Put the work to one side, go for a run, go for a walk, do something different, leave it for a moment. Don't even think about it, because while you're not consciously thinking about it, your subconscious is working on it. And I think that's relevant in many areas of life and business. If we're clock watching and we're thinking, I can't leave, I've got to force myself to do this, is that really quality work? Really? Are we actually being productive? Sometimes the most productive thing, when it looks like we really don't have the time to do so, is to switch it off, go and do something else, and then come back and switch it on again.